Hi, everyone. Let me see if I can. There we go. How is everyone? It's good to see you. Um, I'm glad to see you again from yesterday. I hope you were enjoying all the presentations that we had yesterday. Hi, Matt. Hi, Teresa. Hi, Mandy. I can't see everyone because I'm sharing screen, but I trust that you all are there. How are y'all doing? Good? All right. I'm so glad you all made it. Okay, so hi, I'm Melanie, and I'm your witchy mother, and I help women who have left high control systems like religion remember their power and live it daily. I've known Amber for years. I think it's what, Amber, like 5, 6 years, something like that. It's been
It's
forever.
got to be more than that.
It's it's been forever.
It's probably more like eight.
It's maybe, who knows? COVID messed everything up, but we haven't actually ever met in person, which one day we're going to. Anyway, I'm a graduate of her AHA program, and I'm honored and grateful to be here tonight. So, I want to start with a confession. I spent years sitting in a pew, rosary in my hand, saying Hail Marys over and over until the words stopped meaning anything and started meaning everything. And something happened when I did that, something real, something that actually worked. And it wasn't until years later, after I'd left the church, after I'd left 2 marriages, after I'd done a lot of uncomfortable truth telling, that I realized what was actually happening in those moments. I was casting a spell. Repetitive words spoken with intention until they bypass the thinking mind and land in the body is an incantation. That's one of the oldest magical practices on earth. And I was doing it in a Catholic church in a lace veil because I was doing it all proper with a diaper bag at my feet. They handed me the tools, they just didn't tell me what they actually were. Before we really get into it, I'd love to know a little bit more about you. Did you grow up in the church? If you could, you can come off mute, I don't care. Put it in the chat. And if you did, what tradition was it? Was it Catholic, Baptist, evangelical, nothing? I know Amber was nothing. Catholic. Oh, lots of Catholics, Methodist, atheist. Yeah, I knew you were atheist. Oh my goodness, Catholic school. There's a lot of Catholics here, so you're resonating, I bet, with what I said. Kelly, my mom is Presbyterian, but she's very quick to say she's Reformed Presbyterian because she's not going to be a liberal. It's like there's two Presbyterian churches. Extremely conservative Lutheran. Oh my goodness, Catholic. Wow, there's lots of Catholics in here. Okay. Um, Okay, so we're all kind of coming from different flavors of the same basic recipe. So let's get into it. And I want to be really clear before I get into it. This isn't a session about being angry at the church. You're allowed to be angry. I have been, and sometimes I still am. But that's not what we're here for today. We're here because something was taken from you and I want to name it precisely because vague resentment doesn't help anybody. And here's what high control religion does, specifically to women's relationship with their own knowing. It teaches you that your instincts are dangerous, that the voice inside you that says something is off, that something feels true, that something like mine is not to be trusted, that's your flesh. It's your ego. It's the enemy trying to lead you astray, right? We've all heard that. And it teaches us that wanting things for yourself is selfish at best and sinful at worst, right? I always heard good women give, good women serve, serve others before you think of yourself. Good women put themselves last and call it holy, right? And it teaches you that spiritual power, real spiritual power, belongs to someone with a title, right? A collar, an ordination, someone who's studied the right texts and got the right permission from the right institution. Not you, never you. But here's what I need you to hear. That wasn't them protecting you from anything. That was control. And the reason they needed to control it is because what you carry, the power that you carry, is genuinely powerful and it scares them. So, the gift moves through the bloodline. I come from a line of women who knew things. They would never call themselves witches or anything, but they were. My great grandmother, her name was Annie. She was French, and she was born and raised in New Orleans. So I guess she was American, but you know what I mean. She had like French background. My dad, when I was a kid, gave me a bracelet that was hers, and it was made of coins, a bunch of coins that hung off of it. And whenever she wore it all the time. And when she would walk, it would make a clinking noise. And he told me that you could hear her coming from down the block when he was a kid. And when he told me this story, I thought, oh, Ani was just a little bit eccentric and liked shiny things. But now I know better. That was a ward. That was protection magic. And that was a woman with real spiritual gifts who, at the time in the 30s and 40s, had to stay small to survive. Her daughter, my grandmother, was sensitive. She was spirit touched and deeply, deeply intuitive. She is the type of woman that, like, she would walk into an elevator, and by the time they got to the floor, whoever was in the elevator with her, she knew their whole life story. Like, she was just that type of person that everybody just, you know, opens up to. But in her world, when she's raising kids in the 40s and 50s, right, World War II, there were no words for gifts like that, just pills. She was put on Valium and taught to fear everything that she felt. And then there's her son, my father, who was an ordained Baptist preacher. That's how I was raised, was by a Baptist preacher, and then I converted to Catholicism later. He doesn't claim to be psychic, but he calls when I'm thinking of him. He even one time when I was 13, I was getting into a little bit of trouble with some other kids, and I was like, "Oh no, I don't want to get in trouble, but I can't like just leave, right? Because you know how 13-year-olds like kids are terrible, right?" But I was like, "Oh, I want my dad." And don't you know, at that exact moment, he pulled up in his car. I was like, and we didn't have this was in the 80s. We didn't have cell phones back then. And I got in the car and I was like, how did you know that I needed you? And he goes, I don't know. I just felt like you needed me, so I came to find you. And I was like, oh. So the gift moves through him too. He just calls it something else. It moved through all of them. And they were all, in different ways, taught to silence it. But I am the first in my line to speak it out loud, to do it on purpose, and to refuse to hide it. Although I haven't really told them. I mean, if they Google me, they'll find it, but I haven't like overtly said, "Hey, Dad, Baptist Dad, I'm a witch." Anyway, I have a feeling some of you are in that same position, and I want to ask you something. Is there someone in your lineage who had the gift but had to hide it? You can come off mute if you want, put it in the chat. A grandmother, grandfather, even, an aunt, great grandmother, anyone who knew things but never got to say so out loud. And if you feel comfortable, put her first name in. My great grandmother's name was Lucy. She was Polish. Read tea leaves. Yeah, that's awesome. And was a self-proclaimed gypsy. Oh, nice. A great aunt and my dad. Oh, Nora. Oh, Mary. Love it. Grandmother. I'm gonna get some water real quick while y'all are doing that. Kelly, my mom, her name's Mary. She's intuitive, but she doesn't know it. She's staunchly MAGA Presbyterian. Like she will never, ever, ever be like, never admit that she is intuitive, but she is. Like she just knows things, you know? Oh, thank you, Teresa. Irene, PETA. My family is still keeping it all under wraps. I don't know of anyone except me, though I do have a cousin much younger than me who saw spirit as a kid. Oh, that's awesome. So it wasn't, so I've heard all of these stories like about my great grandmother Ani, and I mean, my grandmother I knew because I grew up with her. Um, but your maternal auntie Cora, my paternal grandmother and mom were gifted. That's awesome. And I didn't like make the connection until I started doing this work. And then I was like, oh, wait, my great grandmother wore that bracelet as a protection ward. Like, I didn't make the connection until much later. So even if your family doesn't specifically say it, like, none of those people ever said to me, hey, I've got gifts. I just made the connection. Um, okay, so all of those ancestors that we've named, they are here with us today. And they showed up because you did. So let's give them something worth witnessing. If I can get my cursor to work right. There we go. Okay. I want to walk you through three practices that the religions took from us, rebranded, and then handed back to us in a form that served the institution instead of us. And then I want to give them back to you. The first one is salt. They told us that salt is for purification, for removing sin. Maybe it's a little superstitious. It's the kind of thing that your grandmother did that the pastor quietly tolerated. Throw salt over your shoulder, but nobody knows why. What it actually is, it's one of the oldest protective wards on earth. When you pour salt at a threshold, you're creating a physical boundary that speaks before you open your mouth. And you're saying, this space is mine and I decide what enters it. That's not superstition, that's magic. And women have been doing it for thousands of years. And the rite is really simple. All you do is you pour a line of salt across your threshold. It can be your front door, your back door, even the threshold of your bedroom doorway, whatever feels like it needs some protecting. And as you pour it, you say out loud, this space is mine. What is mine stays. What is not leaves. And say it like you mean it because you do. Your words have power, which we'll get to in a minute. A quick check-in before we move on. Has anyone already been doing something like this without realizing that it had a name, like salt or candles? You can tell me stories if you'd like. My mom seems to read my mind. I will be thinking something and she will start talking about it. Oh, that's cool, Rhonda. Good luck charms. You got me thinking. Um, okay. Sorry, I'm having issues with my Zoom here for a minute. Okay, there we go. All right. The second thing that we are reclaiming is fire. They told us that candles are for devotion, for memorial, for lighting in front of a saint's image or Jesus's image when you need something and you don't know where else to turn. But what it actually is fire magic. Every time you lit a candle with a specific need in your heart, you were setting intention. You were calling something in, and the flame was answering you. You just weren't told what was happening and that that was possible. So, the next time that you light a candle, light it, and then hold your hands close to the flame, close enough that you can feel the warmth, but obviously don't burn yourself. And name the one thing you're calling in. not what you're requesting, not what you're asking for, what you are calling in, and speak it as a fact. This is mine. And while you do that, watch the flame and keep saying it until you feel it land in your body, not in your head, not a, I know that this thing is mine. You feel it. I feel that this thing is mine. When you feel it in your body, then the rite is complete. That feeling is your confirmation. It's your nervous system recognizing the truth. The third thing is the spoken word. What they told us was repetitive prayer, like the Hail Mary, is submission, right? We'd have to go to confession and we'd be told to say 10 Hail Marys, or for me, it was a lot. Go say 20 rosaries. Okay. And that's in the container of submission, right? It's surrender, right? You say the words over and over because the point is to empty yourself out and make room for something bigger than you. But what it actually is incantation. The repetition is the mechanism. When you repeat something enough times with enough intention, it bypasses your thinking mind and it lands in your body as truth. And that's exactly how spells work. They handed you one of the most powerful tools that exists and told you it was about submission and about punishment. But you can use those words, you can use your own words and command something to happen. That is one of the most powerful things we have. So, I would love to do a little interactive rite with you. And I want to do it together. If you feel comfortable, if you feel able to, come off mute. If not, perfectly fine if you don't feel comfortable or you can't. Just do it quietly wherever you are in your car, kitchen table, wherever you are. No one's going to judge you, and I promise it won't be weird. I mean, it might be weird because I'm involved, but it's fine. It's gonna be great. Okay. I'm going to say something, and I want you to say it back to me 9 times out loud, and if you can, in your heart if you need to. Okay? And I'll say it with you. I was never without my power. We're going to say that 9 times. I was never without my power. 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 I
I
was never without my power. I was never without my power. I was never without my power. I was never without my power. I was never without my power. Do you feel it landing in your body? Where does it land? For me, it's in my heart. The reason we say the reason we say it 9 times, 9 is the number of completion. And that was a spell that we just cast. And if you felt it shift in your chest, it's or anywhere in your body, that's not your imagination. That was the witch in the pew, and she's been waiting. Did you feel it? I would love to. You felt it in your heart, in your belly, your solar plexus, Teresa. Yeah. Amber, your heart and your core body is tingling. Yeah, right? It's like it literally is like you feel something coming alive. It's weird. And again, it's not our imagination. It's we are powerful. That's awesome. Um, so I want to be honest with you about something. The first time that I lit a candle and called it magic instead of prayer or um, that I was asking for anything, I flinched, right? And I heard the old voices, the old voice of you're going to get in trouble for this. Say if you do this, you're at the power of Satan, right? And I still hear it sometimes, years later. If I'm doing a reading or doing a ritual or working with a client, before I go into the session, sometimes I'll hear something very limiting, right? Like you're not really, you really don't know what you're doing and you're going to disappoint them and blah 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 blah, right? Those are the old voices. But that's because the body remembers that fear. It doesn't forget what it was taught to fear. But here's what I've learned is that the fear doesn't have to go away for you to do it anyway. You kind of have to white knuckle through it a little bit at first. Reclamation isn't the absence of that old voice. Just because you start doing these things doesn't mean that the voice is going to go away. It's doing the thing while the old voice is still running its program in the background and in your body. Every time that you light the candle, even though your hands are shaking, you're not just doing magic, you're also telling your nervous system, I'm still here. I'm doing the thing and I'm safe. You can relax now. And that's how retraining your nervous system works. It works slowly, repeatedly, and actually kind of like a rosary. It's one little thing done over and over. We kind of talked about this a little bit yesterday, right? Just doing the little things over and over and they compound. And what's possible when you reclaim this, and I've watched this happen to many women, is not that you become some new version of yourself. It's that you start to recognize the version of yourself that was always there underneath the performance of the religion and what you were told to do, underneath the obedience, underneath the good girl. She's been in there the whole time doing magic in the pew and not even knowing it. So, wrapped it up quickly. But I made something for you. It's called the Reclamation Rite, and it is a printable guide with all three of the practices that we just covered, the salt, fire, and the spoken word, written out so that you can actually do them this week. And like I said, just do it 2 seconds every morning or something. Light a candle and just remember, I'm performing magic. I am calling this in. Amber put the link in the chat, and that's it. I would love to. Do you guys have any questions? Do you have any feedback? Any experiences that you'd like to share? I love to hear other people's experiences. And I'm going to stop sharing so I can see everyone. Let me see the comments. Oh, Dawn, you heard it in your heart and or you felt it in your heart and your throat. That's awesome.
I loved what you were saying about saying your prayers out loud or
Hmm.
repeating them. Yeah, that's something that I felt like I started to just do on my own because I joke and I call myself like ADHD prayer, where you like start off really strong and you're talking in your head, and then the next thing you know, you're thinking about something completely different and you don't even know how
Yes.
long you've been there,
Hmm.
you just like really get off track.
Hmm.
So I started speaking my prayers and talking to my angels and my guides and spirit out loud, and I found it so powerful just for my focus,
Yes.
which is that focus, that intention is just so important with any prayer, healing, magic that we
Hmm.
do. So if anyone hasn't tried that, I highly recommend it.
Hmm. Meg says, I recently started commanding my body to heal. Yes, Meg, I've done that as well. And it's like, although it doesn't work with my migraines, but everything else, if I feel a little tickle in my throat, I'm like, nope, this isn't happening. I command you to get better. And of course, I do things, like take extra vitamins or stay hydrated or whatever to fight it. But yeah, I command my body to heal. That's great, Meg. Our words are very, very powerful. And again, it's a control thing that we've been told that we're not powerful. That's how they control us. because they're scared of us. Because then they'd lose their power, right? They'd lose their control of everything. So,
That was something that came up in theta healing. And maybe that's what
hmm
Barbara is going to say too, because I know she's trained in theta healing too. But
hmm
people got like basically theta commands. It's like it
Yes.
is commanded that, and you're basically
Yes.
commanding creator God to do these things. And in every class, people are like, what? We do
hmm
what? Like we're so conditioned that like we can't command something. And so a
Yeah.
lot of times people just to feel more comfortable, they would say it's commanded and requested just to like feel
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
safer about it. But it's meant to be command for that very same reason. So
Yeah. I
when I saw
actually,
Meg's comment, I was wondering
yeah.
if she was doing theta healing with the command.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've even outside of healing, I'm commanding what I want to happen. So I have this kind of weird fear of like merging onto highways. It's just one of my things. I think in a previous life I was something in a car accident. But anyway, I've been like, and when I go to pick up my daughter from college now, I have to get on a highway all the time. And I'm like, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to try something. I'm going to command that there is no traffic when I'm merging. And as I'm getting onto like pulling up, I'm like, I command that there is no traffic and I can easily merge on. Every single time, there's nothing. Like there's cars in front of me and cars behind me, but there's always an open gap for me. And I'm like, thank you. And it's just kind of like proof that, yeah, we can command things to happen, and it happens all the time. If I forget, then it's trafficky. If there's like, I'm like, oh, I got to remember to my, my little request or command. Barbara.
This is so interesting because I've only recently started to drive. Like last year, I've had my exam and I'm driving now, so I'm still kind of new driver. But this is so interesting, Melanie, because I have a fear, like the biggest fear of mine is changing lanes, literally like merging into traffic.
Hate
Like,
it.
oh my God, so I might start doing that as well.
Do
But
it.
this is, I can do reverse, I can do all sorts of, crazy shit on the road, but merging into traffic, like changing the lane,
Yeah.
no idea why. It's always scary to me. But it's very interesting as well. I wanna just touch base on what Amber said, about commanding. Yeah, when I was learning Theta healing, this was so not natural and so weird to me, like, commanding, like, like creative all that is, it is commanded. It's like, oh my God, it's such a resistance,
Yeah.
like, to it, right? Because we were like like I was Catholic, I was raised as a Catholic. So when I started to do that work, before I even started to work with angels,
hmm
I had this fear, and it was coming from, the fear of like, oh my God, some like there's some demons, or, I'm going to burn in hell, like, or if I'm going to connect to, some sort of dark or, you know, um, energies. And I was in so much fear, and I really had to work through it. And as you said, it's very helpful to just slowly, right? Just, take one day at a time. Just, keep saying these things to yourself and allow your body to relax, just like keep working with it and finding the safety in your body, and just keep affirming, or, creating prayer intentions. And, with time, you will realize that this fear was completely crazy. Like, there's nothing
hmm
to be feared. So
Right.
yeah, but it's all of that indoctrination, right?
Yes.
Especially for myself, and what I've been told, that I'm going to burn in hell, and what I've been told what's good, what's not good. And yeah, so it took
hmm
me a while to actually, yeah, to kind of understand and to move into safety with all the work, and then kind of relax and really kind of merge into the more of awakening state, and working with angels and knowing and feeling the love,
hmm
And thanks to Amber's beautiful community and all the healing and everything that we've learned from her, it's really based on love. right? It's really based on love and light, and there's nothing to get us. Like literally, we're so powerful,
Hmm.
right? The power is inside of us, like the light
Hmm.
is inside of us, and there's nothing to be feared. So yeah, thank you, Melanie. It's very
Yeah.
interesting. So I'll
Yeah.
start more commanding, and I'll be doing that
Yes.
when I need to
And
change the lane. So
right. And I think that, and that was just kind of an experiment, and I've been doing it with bigger things now. And it happens like, oh, I have this bill. I command that I have the money, and the money shows up. It's anyway, or anything, like literally anything. I've been commanding, and it's happening. And I've realized that I don't know about you guys, but if you were Catholic, probably. I was like, came out of the womb and told, you are a sinner, you are bad, there's something wrong with you, right? And it starts from from us coming online. We think that there's something wrong with us and we aren't powerful and we can't do anything. And that's part of their control too. And it is very hard to overcome that initial, ooh, I have this power, I can do this, and I'm not going to descend into hell or anything like that. And but the more you do it, the easier it becomes. It's like a muscle, right? The more you go to the gym and work out, it gets easier. So the more that you strengthen that muscle of commanding and realizing your power, the easier it gets. And then you find something else that becomes a problem. We're always learning and evolving, right? Um, do you have to say it 9 times every time you're commanding something? No, so I don't. Like when I'm doing traffic, it's more the 9 times is more to like really get it into your body if you don't believe it. By now, I believe that it's going to happen. Not I believe, I know it's going to happen. So I just say it once and I do it. When I was first starting, I did do it several times. I didn't keep track necessarily, but I kept saying it over and over and over again. And I said it in my head because I didn't really want my kids to think I'm crazier than they already think that I am. And now I say it in front of the kids. I'm just like, I command that there's no traffic. And they're like, Mommy, what are you doing? And I'm like, I don't want any traffic. And they're like, oh, wow, there was no traffic. So it's like, I'm teaching them too. Um, yeah, I do it for parking spots too. If I'm driving, I'm like, because I've got a bad back and everything, I can't be walking too far. And I'm like, I command that I find a parking space, and there is. And yes, Meg, we are all worthy. Yeah, 9 is a very like universal number of completion. But yeah, good questions. Thank you all for being here tonight, sharing time with us. Does anyone else have anything else?
I'm wondering what simple rituals other people use. I think
Yeah, I would love to
like
know.
I wrote down every single one that Melanie shared with us because they're like simple and easy and things that I can actually do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm
Mm-hmm.
wondering what other people do because I wanna get more inspired.
Mm-hmm. Sue asks, why do we go to angels when we can go to God? Um, so I personally feel like we are all God. I think that we are all, um, I call it source, but God is fine too. We are all parts of God having ex experiencing this existence as Melanie, as Amber, as my dog. Um, and so I don't really, it's more like asking a friend. And I'm not asking for anything. It's more like, hey, friend, I need this help because this thing is really heavy. Can you give me a lift, right? Like I'm not giving my authority over to that person. It's more like, hey, I need some backup here. For me, that's how it is for me. Um, and yeah, I ask angels for protection too. It's like is backup, like I ask a friend to walk me to the car if I'm going at night, right? I'm not giving my power to them. I'm saying, hey, can you back me up here? Can you be a friend? Can you help me? So that's how it is for me. I'm sure other people have their experiences too. But that's how I view it. I'm not necessarily going for permission to anyone. All of the power is within myself. Yara, your head is off your body. What do you do in a threatening situation? Um, I'm never really in, well, I have been in several threatening situations. I've had one of my ex-husbands pulled a gun on me while I was holding a baby, but it was just, I believe that I am here to do a thing, and I know that I'm protected. I just assume it. I know it. I'm protected. I'm taken care of. I am resourced because I'm here to do a thing. And I know that that I'm not going to come here to do a thing and then be put into danger, right? Like, I'm going to be resourced, I'm going to be protected, and I just know it. I'm not obviously going to like walk in this. I live in Richmond. I'm not going to walk the streets of Richmond. I live in Virginia, I mean. I'm not going to walk the streets of Richmond at like 2 o'clock in the morning. No, I'm not going to put myself in a situation, but I trust that everything will work out for me. And I do ask angels to protect us when we have really bad thunderstorms and stuff. Well, I live surrounded by trees, and I'm always worried that a tree is going to like land on the house. And I'm always like, ugh, protect, just shield the house, please, because I don't want that expense or headache. So yeah, when I was in a threatening situation, my angels calmed me down so I didn't make the situation worse. That's a great, yeah. They're your backup. They're your team, right? Angels are assigned to us as our guides to support us. Yep. Yes, Barbara.
About threatening situation, I had a situation in the past that I think where we should start from is that we should listen to our intuition. And I think, like the angels, the guides, they kind of, talk to us through our body and our intuition. And sometimes that was when I was really young and I wasn't obviously awakened at that stage. I wasn't talking to angels. It was completely, yeah. Um, I wasn't in that space at all. And I remember I had a situation where I was coming home really late and I was just a teenager at that time. And I had this and in order for me to get home, I had to either choose two paths. One was much faster, which kind of seemed more dangerous because there was like this bridge and I had to go under the bridge to get home, but it'd be much quicker. And I was afraid that I'm going to be late and my mom is going to kill me because, I needed to be on time in the house, otherwise I'd be grounded. Or I could pick the longer route, kind of, but it would be much kind of safer. And I had this I remember this kind of like a feeling, like a voice inside of me telling me, go the other way, go the other way. But I was like, I don't want to be late, I'll be grounded. So I picked the shorter way. And I should have listened because I had an incident. I was attacked by a guy just literally behind that bridge. Um, and then after, like I was kind of reflecting back on it and I could remember exactly, it wasn't like, I've heard the voice or anything, but I had like this gut feeling. I had like this voice inside of me telling me, like, go this way, even though I'm going to be late, even though you're going to be late. So I think, when you are in situation, I think you kind of just go into your heart, listen to your intuition, listen, ask yourself questions. What's the safest way for me to do? And definitely ask all of your angels and guides to help you, to protect you, and to guide you. And then just listen. It could be a nudge, it could be just knowing anything. And I think that's where we should start before we put ourselves into, more dangerous situation and, making decisions. from fear instead of kind of listening to the voice. So I just wanted to share that. Hopefully that'll be useful for
Yeah,
someone. But yeah, I remember I
that's,
was like, fuck, I had this feeling I
yeah,
should have, but I
yeah,
didn't.
yeah,
But I've
right.
learned my lesson. It was a
Yeah.
great lesson to learn.
Yeah, and that's how the angels
Yeah.
are and kind of protect us is to stop us from getting in that situation. When I was first starting to realize all of this, my daughter came to me at the time she was like 15, 16, and she's like, "Mommy, can I go to this party?" And I heard, "No, don't let her go. Just don't let her go." And I let her go to pretty much everything. And I was like, no, Bethany, I need to say no on this one. And she's like, why? And she was mad at me and everything. I was like, no, I'm sorry. I need to put my foot down. I don't want you to go. There was a shooting at the party that night, and it's like, so yeah, our intuition kind of preemptively protects us, right? And it's not necessarily doing the action of saving us, even though my angels have saved me physically before. But if I had listened to my intuition in the first place, I wouldn't have gotten in that situation. That's that's exactly right, Barbara. Thank you for sharing. Oh wow, Meg, an angel took the steering wheel in time for me to avoid a car crossing it. Wow, that's insane. Sue is asking, where does the power within come from? Is it false ego or source? Um, I believe that it is source. Um, An ego isn't a bad thing until it is, right? Like I say that I'm powerful, but I don't think that I'm more powerful than any of you, right? I'm not better than any of you. I'm not better than anyone else. That's when it's a problem, is when I say, yeah, I'm powerful and I am your answer to your prayer, I'm the one that can help you. When you give your power away to someone, that's not good. Um, And it's not good when people are like, yeah, I'm better than everyone else and you're horrible, right? No, we're all the same. I'm just as powerful as all of you. Um, so that's what I believe.
Can I say
I think
something
the
too?
bad ego is like when you start thinking that you're better than everybody else.
Is it okay if I add a little too,
Yes,
Melanie?
yes, please do.
Like when I'm thinking about like the where the power within comes, like, oftentimes I think of like that power within is that inner knowing, a lot of times what we
Hmm.
call our intuition, right? And I think that that power within really is like source moving through us because like we're really, we're living as individuals, but we're really connected to everything. We're connected to source. We're connected to everyone. We're a part of it
Right.
all. And when we're able to really tap into that inner wisdom, that inner knowing, it's really like that our connection to source and all that is.
Hmm.
And I believe that, really one of the most important things that you can do on your journey of really like opening up to your intuition is learning the difference between your ego and source. And I agree with what Melanie is saying too. Like we all have an ego and it's actually a healthy part of us, so it's not that ego itself is bad. Um, but but our ego can come from like our wounds and our fears and and all of those things. And so that's a really important part of the journey. And honestly, like it takes practice because it's subtle to be able to understand what's the difference between my intuition and source moving through me versus my hopes, dreams, fears,
Right.
wounds, all of those things. And so being able to understand those subtle differences and really be able to discern the difference between the two is really important. So we're not in a space where we think we're being moved by spirit, but really maybe it's just our old wounding.
Hmm.
And so a lot of times, what our ego tells us to do versus like what we hear from source, they have very distinct textures to them that you can really start to understand and resonate what is what. Um, is really what I wanted to add there.
Yeah, yeah. For me, the difference when it's ego, it's you got to do the thing now. You have to. It's going to be a problem if you don't. Whereas my intuition, my knowing, my source is like, it would be a really good idea if you did this. Or I mean, there was one time that it yelled at me, And that's because I was going through an intersection and it yelled at me to like slam on my brakes. So I did. And a school bus went right in front of me. So it does get loud sometimes. But when it's, when it's something like, don't let her go to the party, that was a quiet voice. It wasn't a, oh my God, she can't go because something's going to happen and all of this. It was just a, this isn't a good time. Next, tell her no. It was very quiet and I listened to it and I told her, I said, I'm glad I told you not to go. That was my intuition talking. And she was like, wow, mommy, you're powerful. And I'm like, no, I'm just, I listen to what's going on and I follow through with it.
Yeah. Well, often if a message comes with high anxiety, usually it's
Hmm.
from your ego.
Yeah.
Like less severe by far, but even just like walking my dog in my neighborhood, my husband was like, "Let's go down that cul-de-sac," and something in me was just like, "Nope." But then I was like, okay. And like within like 20 feet, a dog rushed out of a house and came and attacked our dog, you know? But it wasn't like, oh, I don't think I should go down
Right.
that cul-de-sac. I know there's that dog down there. Oh, like maybe I
Right.
should, like that. That's usually more of our ego and our worry.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it takes time and practice again to learn that distinction and to hear the difference. It takes some time and practice.
Yeah. And plenty of like not listening to it and being like,
Yes.
well, shit.
Yes. A
Should
lot
have
of
listened to
being
that.
proven wrong. It's happened many times to me. Well, thank you all for being here today. I am Christian and go to the Holy Spirit for guidance. Does that align with your thought? Different or different words? Yeah. Um, so the difference for me is um the way I was raised was when I go to God to ask for something or I'm giving my power away and I'm not taking ownership and recognizing my God-given power. We are created in God's image because we are God. And I don't mean that in, again, I'm better than any of you. We all are God experiencing, existing as Barbara, as me, as Amber, as Teresa, right? And we're all equal. So that's kind of what's changed for me is that I don't go outside of myself for guidance. I listen to my inner knowing and the source, the God that is in me. So that's kind of a little bit of a difference with it or the difference of how I was raised to how I am now, to what I believe now. Does that answer your question?
Melanie,
Yes.
I have my experience. Again, I became Catholic, converted to Catholicism, and before it was God was on a pedestal and someone that you either feared or not feared, but I mean someone that like a father,
Right.
father figure telling you, right? But
Hmm.
then as I became more spiritual and practiced my faith, and I learned that it's someone I could have a conversation with, that I
Yes.
walk alongside with, right?
Yes.
Helping and is, at my level instead of being someone that um, I as you were taught, like we you couldn't interpret your own, right? Where
Right. Right.
right. So now
You
this,
need likely a man
yeah,
from an institution who got a certificate and was ordained to tell you how to feel and
yeah,
what you believe and all of that. And I don't know about you, Rhonda, but my relationship with God is better than it's ever been. Like it's like you
exactly.
said, it's like we're walking, it's like a partnership, right? And it's
Yeah,
like
yes, and
it's
sends
more
me, yeah,
fun. Yeah.
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
and
I
yeah,
love it. It's so much better now.
yes, yes, and
Yeah.
like you say, just having fun with the magic of it.
Yeah,
Of,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. That's exactly it. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, Yara is going to have her presentation next, so why don't we take a quick break? Maybe go get some tea or water, go to the bathroom, whatever you need to do. And then we'll come back here a few minutes before 8 Eastern. Sorry, I'm on Eastern. So I'm looking at the clock and it
Okay.
says 8. Thank you guys so much for being here.